Hey guys, what's going on? It's Space Cowboy here, trying to be a bit more positive given the circumstances of our front office. So we got a mock draft here. So we know a lot of moving parts are going on right now, not just talking about Dallas, but the league. You're seeing a lot of teams move around and what they want to do. So as a result, you're going to start seeing these mock drafts change, which is great because then you're going to have players that move down to you. And that's what I'm really excited about is now that the first big week of free agency is done, Russell Wilson's now in Denver. You have Devontae Adams now in Las Vegas. I said LA. These trades that are going on are unbelievable. And, the Cowboys are adding more players. And so what's going to be different than some of my other videos like we've done in the mock drafts where we determine needs is I kind of want to just talk about where I had the needs and how they've changed. So we're going to get into that in today's video. So if you can leave a like, that'd be awesome. Subscribe if you're new and hit the notification bell. That'd be also be great. And let's go ahead and let's get straight into this whole thing about what needs do we need to address now. Okay, so I had to do some due diligences real quick. And the big thing is some people have asked, hey, can I just skip to the mock draft portion? Absolutely. I do appreciate the feedback there. So I'm going to have the, once I go into the description box and find out where this thing gets edited out, I'm going to put that in the description. So you can just click on when the mock draft starts. You don't have to listen to this whole soliloquy. But I do this as kind of like a track record of what the Cowboys have done so that I can go back, watch it, and all the other stuff. So I just wanted to add that. So if you guys want to just skip, come back here. By all means, whatever you guys want to do. Thank you so much for the heads up. So, we need to first talk about what has changed since the last video. So, we know that Michael Gallup is going to be back. We know that Amari Cooper is gone. We know that Cedric Wilson is gone. Blake Jarwin is gone. Lyle Collins is gone. Connor Williams, Randy Gregory, Reggie Robinson, and Greg Zuerlein are all gone. Okay. You brought back Noah Brown, Gallups, Jeremy Sprinkle, Dorrance Armstrong, Leighton Vander Esch, Malik Hooker, and your long snapper, Jacob McQuaid. So, when I pull up my whole spreadsheet to determine what can the Cowboys realistically do at this juncture in the draft, I want to first start off on the offensive side of the ball. Based off of how it's constructed, realistically, the Dallas Cowboys just have to work on the offensive line. I would like them to draft a receiver. I definitely would love for them to do that, or a running back. But I personally do believe with how they've constructed it, they are positioning themselves to take a lineman. That's why offensive line is still the number one need. Point blank, period. I do not care what anybody tells you. It is still a need. Yes, you could draft the tight end most definitely, but I don't believe the Cowboys are going to do that. I think Dalton Schultz is going to get a long-term deal. The Cowboys will cave in and give him his money, whether you like it or not. That's just how they conduct business, and that's that. You've also, so with adding James Washington from the Pittsburgh Steelers, I do love this move. I like the fact that you're bringing in a guy that is basically your Cedric Wilson replacement, and he's nice, he's a very good receiver. I think he was underutilized in Pittsburgh because of the circumstances of an aging Ben Roethlisberger and a bunch of crap quarterbacks that they have behind him. That's just my personal opinion. But there's that. And then you have the situation on the defensive side of the ball, which, again, I've already addressed the offense. On the defensive side of the ball, the Dallas Cowboys have a lot of moving parts, okay? So the biggest thing is with your linebackers, it was key to bring some of your guys back, which they did. They brought back Luke Gifford and Leighton Vander Esch. That does not give you an excuse not to draft a linebacker. I still believe that linebacker is your second most important need you need to tackle. The interior of the defensive line, I do believe, is another need at this point in time, and safety. I think those are your two biggest needs. Edge, I do not believe the Dallas Cowboys will draft an edge rusher unless he's the best player on the board. I would love them to take an edge rusher. You really don't have a whole lot outside of that. Yes, you have Dorrance Armstrong, yeah, and statistically he was on, paper sort of better than Randy Gregory, but we don't know what he's going to look like with full-time production. So we'll see how that goes. And then special teams, you're going to need a kicker. But you got Chris Nagar, maybe that's who they got, and Brian Anger probably isn't coming back, so you probably need a punter. So, what are the new must-address positions? I personally believe the list of needs are as follows, in this particular order. Offensive line is 1, linebacker 2, safety 3, edge 4, wide receiver 5. Those are your 5 top needs. I know I like to do the secondary needs, but those are things that I'm not going to touch on anymore. The Dallas Cowboys are not going to get a tight end. They're probably not going to get a running back. I might be wrong there, but they should draft a running back. They're not going to go get a defensive tackle unless, they decide to do that. And a kicker, you can easily replace that. And obviously a punter is a thing, but they'll find a punter. Like, I'm not super, super worried about that because at the end of the day, you can find other guys. And I think that that's what they'll do. So I know I've gone on for a long time. I greatly appreciate you allowing me to explain how things have changed, because we need the context. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go through this 3-round mock draft with how things have changed and why am I making these decisions. All right, let's get started. Tyler Linderbaum, center, Iowa. So it's been a while since we've been able to be in a situation where Tyler Linderbaum fell to us at 24. Okay, and you might be asking, well, who else was on the board? Well, you had Kenyon Green, Nakobe Dean, Jermaine Johnson, David Ajobo, but he got hurt, so we know how that is. You had Traylon Burks and all those other individuals there, but the fact is that Tyler Linderbaum was the best player on the board, and I think it's an instant upgrade at center. Now, if the Cowboys pick up a center in free agency and make this a null and void selection, okay. But I've talked very highly on Tyler Linderbaum. I would love for him to be a Dallas Cowboy. I think he plugs up your center for years to come, and he gets you another young player. Especially if Terrence Steele is going to be around for a while. I think it's really good because, look, you're going to need to upgrade center. And I think that by getting Tyler Linderbaum, you get Dak, a guy that you don't have to worry about long term. You just let him go and do his thing. I don't want to talk too much on Tyler because I've talked about him before. Really good pick. In fact, I would argue that if the Cowboys managed to snag him, that would probably be the best pick in the first round, all things considered. And that is no bias there. But I don't think he'll be there. But hey, you don't know. A lot of the movement that's been going on, a lot has changed. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to pick 56. Boye Mafe, edge, Minnesota. So in this entire mock draft series that I've done, I've not taken an edge rusher in any of them. This is the one exception because now here we are. I think that for all things considered, this would be the best player on the board. I had guys like Lewis Kine, the safety out of Georgia. You had a situation where you had Bernard Ryman. Do you plug him in at left guard? Jalen Weidemeyer, Trey McBride, John Mechie. The main reason I'm taking an edge here is not only is it one of my big needs, I think that I think you need to get a guy that can be developmental in here and get him on a roll because edges take a while to develop. And that's why I'm very eerie on taking one in the first round. So by taking one in the first 3 rounds, you get a guy that can be a developmental starter, which there is no shame in that because Tank's getting older. He's got 3 more years on his contract. And if you get a guy like him, by the time that Dorrance leaves, if he does leave after his contract is over, you're thinking Boye Mafe will be ready to take that starter role. So you get a nice young guy that, to me, honestly, I'm not saying he plays like DeMar, but it's probably like a DeMarcus Lawrence situation all over again. You develop the guy and see how he goes from there. But yeah, I really like his game. I like what he brings to the table, and I think that if there was a linebacker on the board worth considering, I would have taken them here. But hey, I went with the best available player on the board, and that was him. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So let's go ahead and move on to round 3. Ed Ingram, offensive guard, LSU. Alrighty, guys. So this is the first time I'm taking Ed Ingram in any of my mock drafts. Usually he's valued in the 4th round, but his stock has been rising very steadily. And you're like, Space, why did you double dip at offensive line? Maybe you could have gone somewhere else. Well, when I looked at who was on the board, sure, you have guys like Justin Ross, Jeremy Ruckert, Calvin Austin, and a couple of other guys, but there really wasn't a whole lot of guys where I was saying to myself, Fedarian Mathis was a guy that I really wanted to take to bolster up that defensive line, but he went 2 picks before I selected, and Jalen Tolbert wasn't there. None of the receivers were there that I particularly liked. But when it came to Ed Ingram, and I've talked about it with Cowboys blog, also Joe Rod, in case you follow him as that, we like Ed Ingram. I like him. I think that he's a plug-and-play guy that you can get. And is he going to be like an all-pro starter when he steps in? No. But I think that he is going to be a very solid player for you. I think when you look at what he did at LSU, he has been on that offensive line for 4 years. And, you know, a lot of people talk about how he played. Like, he was really the most consistent lineman on that team. And so, while he hasn't gotten any accolades, he is better than what the accolades. Like, I know a lot of people look at the accolades. I don't care for that. I think Ed Ingram can slide in at your left guard spot, and bam, with this draft, you have now gotten a stud center and a guy at left guard that you can plug in and play. So now your offensive line has now 3 young guys that you can build off of. And there's nothing wrong with that. Your offensive line is the most important unit on your team outside of quarterback. If you do not have a good offensive line, your offense is going to suck. You know, you have 5 guys on your that's nearly 50% of your entire offensive line, your entire offense dedicated to that position group. So I think that with this draft, taking Tyler Linderbaum in the first round, then you go into the second round and you take the edge out of Minnesota in Boye Mafe to, you know, be that guy that can develop and be, you know, I think he has great traits, and, you know, again, edges take a bit. And I did specify, like, again, a lot of it is best player available. In my opinion, that's the best player on the board. And then in the third round, going with Ed Ingram solidifies your offensive line, and you protect your investment at quarterback for the next couple of years. So I think that that is a fair mock draft. And I want to hear what you guys have to say. Do you think double dipping at the offensive line is a good move? Would you do it with do another 3-round mock draft? Tell me what you guys did. But I think, listen, I'm a firm believer in best player available regardless of position group, and these are the best players on the board at the end of the day. Obviously in my opinion, but but with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's mock draft. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.